This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Mountain Glass Arts. For the month of February, Mountain Glass is offering shot, tube, and rod at 40% off. Just put in the code SHOT, that is SCHOTT at checkout. And for all you soft glass nerds, they are offering their COE 104 sale, Creation is Messy, 30% off. Just put in the code MESSY, that is MESSY at checkout. And for any other questions and all your glass needs, just go to mountainglass.com. That is mountainglass.com. This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
You're listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 81. This is Jay Michael, your host. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm excited, as always, to bring you conversations with artists, sharing their stories in hopes to inspire and entertain while helping you grow your businesses. I'm super pumped to be here. Can't believe episode 81. It is currently, to kind of give you guys some insight to where I'm at. I'm in, those that haven't listened to the show before, I live in Florida, west central coast, in a little town called Dunedin, right off the Gulf of Mexico. Currently is 80 degrees out, and it's February. So those of you around the world that are getting snowed on and are freezing, I apologize. I wish it was a little bit cooler here myself. It sucks being 80 degrees in February. So just thought I'd get that off my chest. But today we're going to be discussing ergonomics and body posture, and also why you should all be standing on anti-fatigue mats in your studios. If you don't have them after this episode, you're going to want to go online and click the links that I have for you and buy some, because these will save your back, your shoulders, everything. It's amazing the information that we found on the reasons why you should work with anti-fatigue mats, the benefits of standing while you're working, but also the issues you can run into while standing and not having good body posture, and also standing on a hard surface. Very, very fascinating stuff. A lot of the stuff that we got comes from sources outside from the government, also from companies that manufacture some of these mats, the health department. I mean, we got a lot of cool information for you guys, and also some just insights for myself and my own personal things I've dealt with. The reason I wanted to do this show, for one, it's such an important issue, a topic. As a machine, in a sense, of our body, we have to make sure we keep it in tip-top shape to manufacture what we want to manufacture, whether we're doing big work, small work, production, what have you. It's just crucial that you keep your body maintained. In past episodes, I've discussed why you need to go get a massage done, why you should have proper stretching, do yoga if you can, the whole 9 yards, because, again, you got to keep your body in check. For those of us that want to be doing this for the rest of our life, myself personally, 17 years now, I'm starting to deal with issues, pre-carpal tunnel issues, numbness in my hands, shoulder pain. My posture is still pretty good. It's one thing I really do pay attention to. I do find, though, like on my phone, for instance, I think for all of us in general, our cell phones are probably one of the areas that we could probably cut away from usage of, or find better ways of using it, because this will kill our posture even more so. When our next generation of kids come up that are adults and old folks, they are going to be hunchbacked with arthritis in their thumbs, which would suck. But that's the reality of where we're all going. So, again, I want to bring this show to you guys because this stuff is so important to talk about and discuss. And, because I'm learning about it myself, I like to share what I learn. So before we go any further, though, I want to make sure we do a little housekeeping and let you guys know that right now Mountain Glass is holding their Get It Quick sale this week. Their sale starts February 3rd and runs through February 5th, 2016. Right now you can get Momka's glass at 30% off. Just go to checkout and put in the code MOMKAS, MOMKAS. For all you soft glass nerds out there, they've got CBS coatings by Sandberg on their Uniboros 104. You can get 20% off all sizes. Again, sale runs through February 5th, 2016. Just put in the code CBS104 at checkout, and you guys will be good to go. And also, they want to let you know, too, that Scut is about to raise their prices as of February 15th. A little post-Valentine's Day gift. They are going to be raising their prices, and the Scut will be raising their prices They're considered on par with standard annual pricing adjustments. Consider ordering your Scut kiln now before the 15th of February 2016 and save. Go to mountainglass.com for more information. And also, just so you guys know too, anybody out there looking at getting started, if you haven't yet got the torch setups and your kits and your hoses and all the stuff you need, if you have students you want to teach and you need equipment, if you need just new stuff in your studio for an assistant or what have you, Mountain Glass now has their site page put up. That is mountainglass.com/wiseguy, where you can get a starter kit. They usually offer it with a discounted rate anyways because it is a kit. And now you can get an additional 5% off at checkout just by putting in the code WISEGUY for all their starter kits, which is killer. So again, just go to mountainglass.com/wiseguy. Check out the starter kits. You can subtract and add items to there, which will decrease and or increase the price on the kit, depending on what you do. And then just go to checkout and put in the code WISEGUY and receive an additional 5% off the starter kits. So much love to Mountain Glass for helping us out with that. So killer stuff. We're going to be getting the YouTube channel here going pretty soon. I'm actually going to be visiting Mountain Glass in June coming up. Going to be doing some interviews there on site with them, as well as some interviews with some of the members around this place, the warehouse there, that are helping pack orders and take orders, and folks we talk to on the phone all the time, and give you guys a video tour as well of the warehouse. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be some cool insights, and one of the nice things and benefits of having this YouTube channel set up to give you guys some visuals as well. So again, today we are going to be discussing posture, ergonomics, ergonomics. That's how you say it. And why you should all be standing on anti-fatigue mats. Now it's time for our Wise Guy Radio monthly medical segment. Are getting ready to start off here now on our monthly medical show, where we are going to be talking about, again, body posture, mechanics, ergonomics, and all that fun stuff. It's really important, again, that we all make sure that when we are behind the torch and standing, that we have the best posture possible. Even if you get into a weird position or whatever because of what you're working on, just make sure that after you're done with that piece that you take a quick break and stretch and whatever. Just the movement and getting around from the torch is probably one of the bigger areas that you can focus on to help yourself with stretching and moving around and blood flow. So the definition of ergonomics is the study of people's efficiency in their working environment. There are many ergonomic issues confronting the glassblower with repetitive motion and muscle fatigue. While focusing on blowing glass, it's easy to forget about things like good posture and healthy work habits. That stuff creeps up on you, similar to the effects millions of computer users have experienced worldwide. After a full day of work or week or year, you may notice your wrists are sore and your back and neck are killing you. Much of that type of pain can be avoided by using these following tips. For one, you can avoid repetitive motion, like turning the pipe only in one direction. Break up monotonous activities as much as possible. Try making different pieces if you can. Don't sit at the bench and make stoppers for 8 hours straight. Work around, make some hand pipes, make some marbles, make some pendants, just make some different things so you're not making the same thing over and over and over and over. If you have a big order, maybe break it up over 4 or 5 days, so you can change it up. One of the things, though, if you do find that you consistently do repetitive motion, you will start to get in the areas of dealing with potential carpal tunnel syndrome, and that is one of the first things that you do not want to have happen to you. So make sure you take care of that. Also get some anti-fatigue mats for the shop, which we will discuss in a little bit. And if you're doing heavy work, make sure you seek assistance, or just make sure you take care of your wrists. And all you guys out there who are skateboarding and BMXing and snowboarding, please be careful. So one of the things that we got into, though, was the really the areas of posture. As many of you guys, when you go to shows and you watch glass artists or demonstrations or just YouTube videos and whatever, really pay attention to the person working's posture. It's really difficult when you're working yourself. I mean, you can physically pay attention to it, obviously, but visually paying attention to it, it's difficult. Just making sure that, if you're working in a studio with a friend, maybe make sure you guys keep an eye on each other, that you're standing up straight. Having a strong core is the most important and first part of this whole thing. Just doing maybe 50 crunches a day over a period of time, do some planks, different areas you can get into. And again, these are some stuff we're going to do on the video channel when we get going with that. But having a strong core is the first part of having a good posture. But the problem that happens when you don't have good posture is that you get a hunched back. It's really important because you start to shorten certain muscles and you lengthen others, which causes your body mechanics and your posture to get completely out of whack. Now, there are exercises and things you can do to help relieve this if this happens, but you can also just keep a good posture and avoid it altogether. Part of the thing is just, again, myself personally, I try to work in 3-hour shifts. Work 3 hours, take a break, maybe half an hour, maybe 15 minutes, take a little stretch, get some water, go to the bathroom, do what I got to do. But just making sure that you are paying attention to that you are standing somewhat with your feet, shoulder width apart, and your back's, sitting up straight, and you're focusing on keeping your core tight and, relaxing your shoulders a little bit, but not hunching them over. There's this all kind of really simple things that we've all been taught as we grow up and go through school and PE and all that shit we all did as kids and even into our early adulthoods. And it's just stuff we just got to pay attention to, and it's easy to get comfortable and lazy. It's also important to think about how your torch is mounted and it's on your bench. Myself personally, my torch is between my nipples and my belly button. To get very detailed with it, to just kind of give you an idea. The higher your torch is, the easier it is for you to have posture that is going to work for you. Too many times I see guys and gals that are working on a display table, like a 10-foot plastic table, and they have a little cinder block on there and their torch mounted to it and tied down, and then they're bent over the torch, completely bent over the torch, hunched over. And they're that way for hours, and it's really, really terrible for you to do that. You will not last more than a couple months if you do that on a consistent basis. I wouldn't even say a couple months. I mean, I'm thinking maybe a couple hours or in a day. It's just so bad for you to do that. So really pay attention. If you have a short table, you have to sit maybe. If you can't sit, then you need to figure out a way to get your torch up higher. If you need to stack a couple blocks up if you need to, what have you. For myself, I built a small box. It's basically, there's walls on all sides of this box, except for the bottom and one of the faces. It's basically a rectangle. It's I would say probably an 8x4 shape, with the side walls are only maybe about 4 inches tall. So it raises my torch off the bench about 4 inches. And it also gives me a little cubby to put my tools and stuff in. I'll take a picture of it and put it up on the show notes for you guys so you can see. But the idea is basically so that my torch is higher. And again, I have a spot for storage for my tools as well at the end of the day. But it helps me to keep a erect posture, keep my back straight, really focused on what I'm doing. It also allows me to stand on the sides of the torch if I need to, even though it's on my bench. Similar to how a stand is, torch stands are pretty cool. But ideally, again, make sure your torch is at a good height to where you're not hunched over looking down at it. If you're going somewhere doing a demonstration, if you can ask ahead to find out what their table situation is like, so then you can be prepared yourself to bring in extra equipment or something else that you may need to bring to have a higher set. Typically, my torch is about mid to my to my diaphragm, basically, is where the bench is at. And I lean against it. I should have turned my phone on silent. But anyway, so for that part, again, it's important, posture and stuff. So here's some of the insights and stuff that I found, though, in regards to ergonomics and having an anti-fatigue mat. For those of you who do not know what an anti-fatigue mat is basically a mat that you stand on that allows you to have more of a padded surface to stand on. So this is basically what it says, and this comes from a website called cisco/eagle.com. I'll have the link in the show notes for you guys to click on, and there's more there. All right, so here's kind of some insights into the anti-fatigue mat that I wanted to share, and I don't want to try to get too sidetracked on this because this will go on forever, and next thing we know I have an hour-long show, and I'm just rambling, so I want to make sure I get some good pointers here for you guys and insights. The link to this information also will be on the show notes page. Just touch the little image for the podcast. It'll flip around and give you guys all the details for the links and the show notes on there as well. But this comes from a website. It is all about practical ergonomics and anti-fatigue mats information. This says, how do anti-fatigue mats work? It says, standing for long periods of time on hard floor surfaces is very uncomfortable and causes physical fatigue. Leg muscles become totally static and constricted as they work overtime to keep that person in an upright position. Blood flow is greatly reduced, causing pain and discomfort. In this situation, the employee's heart is forced to work harder to pump blood through these constricted areas, and his body begins to run out of energy. However, if a person is allowed to stand on an anti-fatigue mat, his muscles will subtly his muscles will contract and expand. His muscles will lightly contract and expand as they adjust to the flexibility of the mat. This muscle movement increases blood flow and increases the amount of oxygen reaching the heart, and fatigue is greatly reduced. It says physical fatigue occurs when muscles are constricted and blood flow is reduced. Because the heart is forced to work harder to pump blood through these constricted areas, the body runs out of energy. The result is pain, discomfort, and fatigue. Anti-fatigue mats work by encouraging subtle movements of leg and calf muscles, which in turn, we just read that. How about that? I'm repeating myself. All right, so this is where it gets into the anti-fatigue mats, and I don't want to ramble on too much with this and get you guys the good information out of here. So this comes from a website. It is cisco/eagle.com. I will have this all in the show notes for you. All you have to do is just touch the little image of the Wise Guy Radio logo. It'll flip around and show all the show notes and links there for you to go on to. But this talks about the anti-fatigue mats and why they are beneficial. It says physical fatigue occurs when muscles are constricted and blood flow is reduced. Because the heart is forced to work harder to pump blood through these constricted areas, the body runs out of energy. The result is pain, discomfort, and fatigue. Anti-fatigue mats work by encouraging subtle movements of leg and calf muscles, which in turn promotes an easier flow of blood back to the heart. This is called dynamic ergonomics, the study of ensuring standing worker comfort by means of muscle activity. In a formal study at the Center of Ergonomics at the University of Michigan, ergonomist, it's kind of a strange thing, ergonomist Mark Redfern concluded that different standing surfaces can have dramatic effects on physical fatigue. The study involved 14 subjects at the Ford Chesterfield trim plant who were required to stand throughout the entire shift. A variety of floor conditions were tested, from concrete to a 3/8 inch rubber anti-fatigue mat. The results were conclusive. Workers who were forced to stand on hard concrete floors for long periods of time suffered significant levels of fatigue and discomfort in the legs, back, and throughout the body. On the other hand, workers who stood on anti-fatigue mats were able to reduce the level of fatigue and discomfort by as much as 50%. Pretty fucking crazy. So for all you out there, think about what you're standing on. A lot of times myself personally, which I know it sounds crazy, but I work barefoot in my studio, and I just work barefoot on my anti-fatigue mat that I have. And I'll get into the actual model that I have, and I'll have a link to that as well. But I do notice a huge difference. At Disney, we don't have them behind my bench. I'm actually going to bring mine in so I have it to stand and when I'm working. And I worked the past 2 days without one and stood with my dress shoes on, which are pretty comfy, but still. Right now, my feet and my calf muscles and my lower back are very sore. And that sucks because I'm there for like 11 hours, So this stuff is very, very important. So it says, how can anti-fatigue mats save you money? We refer to the aches and pains of long-term standing as cumulative standing trauma. Excessive stress on the spine and back muscles due to stagnant body positions or poor distribution of body weight, which may cause pain and injury. Fatigue and pain caused by such long-term standing is too often overlooked. Unfortunately, workers are suffering the consequences on a daily basis. Companies are losing literally billions each year in reduced productivity, increased worker compensation costs, higher insurance rates, and absenteeism. Since back injuries accounted for 31% of all compensable workers' claims in 1994, it is important to not aggravate an existing problem or cause a new one through cumulative standing trauma. CST may also lead to 1. Pronation, the extensive flattening of the foot which results in arch and heel pain, and 2. Varicose veins caused by stagnation of blood in lower extremities. All of these problems can ultimately lead to long-term and costly health issues. Anti-fatigue mats are designed to reduce the aggravation and injury associated with CST, thereby reducing your costs. The plight of the standing worker is very real. The National Safety Council, in its publication Ergonomics, recommends the use of anti-fatigue mats, as do numerous ergonomists, industrial hygienists, occupational nurses, risk managers, and loss control agents, safety engineers, and insurance companies. Luckily, Millions of workers are now benefiting from these recommendations. The right anti-fatigue mat for the right application can go a long way towards easing the situation and creating a more productive, quality-driven environment. So, making a conscious effort to place employee comfort and protection as a priority will ensure healthier, happier, and more productive employees. The right anti-fatigue mat for the right application can go a long way towards easing the situation and creating a more productive, quality-driven environment. So there you go. There's some really interesting insights into anti-fatigue mats and why, again, we should have it. It's so important thinking about the years that I've done this, whether I've stood or sat and didn't have proper matting underneath me, and I would work a long day and would just be sore as hell for days, like working out or getting hit by a fucking car or something like that. It sucks, but something just to really think about. So think about, again, is number one, having a torch mounted properly on your bench that is at the right height for you, so that when you have good posture, you're not having to lose your posture to work on your torch. Number two, again, posture. If your torch is at the right height, you can have proper posture, which then will lead to a better physical condition, less back pain, neck pain, further down the road issues, even if you're not a glass artist in 20 years. If you don't have good posture now, you're going to fuck yourself up for the next 20, 50 years. I'm 40 years old almost this year. I'll be 40. I plan on living to being like 90, which means that I have not lived half my life yet. I can't imagine living another 50 years with the pain that I'm dealing with right now in my hands. It sucks. I need to take care of this myself. It's not caused from posture or things, but it's also due to repetitive motion issues. It's due to not paying attention when I'm working by myself, that I'm working really big stuff. I'm not using a roller on my table. There's things that I haven't done over the years that I do now, but beforehand, when I first started, I didn't do this shit, and now it's affecting me. 17 years later, it's starting to affect me. So for all you out there that are listening to this, if you're new at this, if you've been doing this for 5 years, this is shit that you got to pay attention to, because in 10 years, at that 10-year mark, you're going to start having issues. You're going to start feeling the pains. You're going to start feeling the sore wrists, the sore shoulders, the fucked up back postures. We have overdeveloped muscles because we have muscles that we use on a regular basis, no matter what the hell it is you're making. But we overuse certain muscles, which means that they're overdeveloped. So you got to think about that too. Overdeveloping certain muscles, which means that while you're doing that, you need to go get a massage done to help maintain those muscles, because they're going to get sore. If you're brand new, first starting out doing this, when you go to ball up a piece of glass for the first time, you're going to feel muscles in your forearm that you've never used in your life ever, that are going to talk to you. And they're going to talk to you for a couple days because it is uncomfortable at first. So take all those into consideration. Proper bench height, proper torch height, proper posture, and then the right flooring, fatigue mats, anti-fatigue mats. Get them. The ones that I have are made by a company. Let me find my little note thing I have here on this. Okay, I'm back. So I wanted to share with you guys just my mat that I use. I don't know why I can't find the fucking name for it. It's kind of frustrating here. I will put the link on the show notes for you guys. But basically, mine is developed by a doctor. The top of the surface of the mat is like a hard, I'm gonna call it a vinyl almost. But I have dropped like molten hot glass on it before, and it didn't melt the surface or burn it. It left a hot like brown spot on it, kind of thing. So it kind of burned it, I guess. But it didn't catch on fire. It didn't make any kind of like really smell or anything. But I got it off the mat really quickly. But one of the things I like about that compared to other anti-fatigue mats is that the surface of some anti-fatigue mats are just like a foam surface. So if you drop hot glass into it, it's just going to melt right into it, even if you get it off quickly. So think about that type of stuff. I'm not promoted, or I'm not paid or sponsored or whatever by the company I'm talking about, who I have my mat from. But I did want to share it with you. One of the nice things about it as well is it is tapered at the edges, so it kind of narrows down to the floor, so it's actually nice and smooth, so you don't trip over the edge of it. And you can also take several of them and put them together and overlap the edges and make a bigger mat out of it. So and by doing that, you can have a larger surface area. The mat that I have, I believe, is probably, I'm going to say like 3 feet by 2 feet, something like that. I'll take some pictures of it, but also I'll put the link for that specific mat, again, on the show notes for you guys to look at. But think about that when you're purchasing a mat, what the surface is made of. Because, again, you don't want to burn holes in it and fuck it up, because these things can be expensive. The prices I found, they range from anywhere from $75 up to several $100, depending on the size and thickness of it. I'm not sure myself personally, being a glass artist, if I would want to stand on a mat that was too thick. I don't know if it would screw up your balance at all. I'm sure you would probably settle into it easily. But to think about, balance. My mat in particular, another reason I guess I like the surface that it has is because of the fact that it's a hard surface, and it's not hard as in hard as a concrete. It's sturdy, so I don't sink into it, and it allows me to keep my balance also, which is killer. But again, these are all huge topics. If you guys, if you want to be a glass artist forever, not only do you need to think about business, not only do you need to think about sales, not only do you think about production and quality of your work, but you got to think about the body that is creating this work. If your body is not in tune, if your body's not up to date and in shape and what have you, and I mean up to date by like exercising it, feeding it properly, keeping it hydrated, stretching, getting massages, all that stuff. If you don't maintain your body physically, you are going to be sore, you're going to have bad posture, and you're going to be an old man or old lady down the road, hunched back over with fucking carpal tunnel and arthritis and everything else possibly that can go wrong with the human body physically looking. Think about all this stuff. If you guys want to do this forever, if you want to be a glass artist for the rest of your life, just pay attention to this kind of thing. If you see somebody also that is working and they're not standing up straight, or they're not having a good posture, or they're working kind of weird, don't be afraid to say something to them about it. Just say, hey, I noticed that you weren't really standing up straight. Make sure that you're paying attention to your posture. If there's a setup that you see that someone's working on that isn't right, that's too low, say something to them about it. Tell them they need to raise it up a little bit. There's so many different things out there that if we all just spoke up and gave some insights to our friends that we see working, it's going to make a huge difference in their life, and then also in your life because you're helping somebody out. And then in turn, maybe they'll see something that you're doing that they can help you out with. Criticism is not a bad thing. Being a dickhead is, but just good constructive criticism is not a bad thing. And also just lending a hand. So on that note, I'm going to get out of here before I ramble on too much. I love you guys. Don't be afraid to go on the show notes. Please check out the links. It has all the information there. Get yourself an anti-fatigue mat if you don't have one. If you do, awesome. Share it with your friends where you got it from. Tell them about it. You need to have one. And on that note, I love you guys. And we will see you on the next episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. Take it easy. Peace. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. If you have any questions, comments, or remarks, please leave them in the show notes page area where it says comments. We'll see you soon. Have a wise night.